this episode of Film Stock Reviews, I'm reviewing episode 6 of the Book of Boba Fett, titled From the Desert Comes a Stranger. Holy shit, I'm excited and crazy because this was probably one of the craziest and best episodes I've seen of a Star Wars show, combining The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. Now, the episode starts off on Tatooine. We find that Marshal Cobb Vanth, who is now on Mos Pelgos, and he basically shoots Pike Spice Runners because he doesn't want to deal with that kind of thing on Mos Pelgos. Now, after the confrontation, we find that in this little so-called container is a container of spice, so he just kicks it over and that's it. It's great to see Cobb Vanth. I didn't expect him to be in this episode. And then as we move along into the episode, we find that the Mandalorian travels to a forest world to visit Grogu. He is then visited by R2-D2, and R2 takes him to an area where we see other robots, or so-called robots, trying to build something, and we see that they're building the Jedi Temple, which is crazy and insane, so to speak. As that's happening, another scene after that, we find that Luke Skywalker, yes, Luke Skywalker is training Grogu. It's a great moment with Grogu and Luke Skywalker. Grogu is hungry and he wants to eat a frog, but then it gets away, and then Luke Skywalker uses the Force and he takes up all the frogs from the lake and then he drops it back down, and we go to see that Grogu isn't that much and doesn't have the Force with him that much powerful, but Luke does. Let me just say, the CGI on Luke Skywalker and how they got a younger version look of Mark Hamill is incredible, insane, and so well done that it looked like it was Mark Hamill when he first played the role back in Star Wars. I mean, it's just mind-blowing how crazy this episode was. Then we go to another scene where right after that, we see the Mandalorian waiting around, and R2-D2 wakes up, and all of a sudden, the Mando draws his pistol. He draws it, and it's Ahsoka. Whoa, hold on here, wait, man. Ahsoka's showing up now. So Mando and Ahsoka talk, and Ahsoka takes Mando to where Grogu is being taught by Luke Skywalker, and they have a moment, and the moment is basically where Ahsoka says, "You're visiting him for a reason. Now, is it because for him or is it because of you?" And Mando's like, basically, I just want to give him this one thing so he can be protected. So Ahsoka tells Mando, listen, you do that, it's what you want to do. So Mando gives Ahsoka this, this armor, so to speak, and he goes off, and we find out the next scene that, in a way, kind of, that Grogu can sense that Mando was there as well as Luke Skywalker, but Luke doesn't say anything. So then we get a montage of Luke training Grogu by the way of the Force, and just, hopping around and, using his abilities, and then Ahsoka and Luke Skywalker meet up. Like, I didn't expect it to happen at all, especially in a live action series. So basically Ahsoka and Luke are talking, and they say like the Mando was here, this and that, and Ahsoka gives Luke the gift that was supposed to be given to Grogu from the Mandalorian, and Luke looks around and says, "Is it right or wrong that I would give this to him?" or something like that. Ahsoka says, "May the Force be with you." She goes off, and then Luke is like, "Will I ever see you again?" Of course, she says, "Perhaps." So I'm pretty sure we'll see Luke Skywalker in the spin-off series that Ahsoka is getting, but we don't know how prevalent his role will be, if that matters. Now then, we find the next scene. I'm basically telling you what's happening in this entire episode because this is a fantastic episode. It was so fresh in my mind because I just watched it. The next scene, we see Mando going to Jabba the Hutt's palace, and Mando and Fennec Shand are holding a meeting about what to do with the Pike Syndicate and everything, and Chrysanthemum is there, and the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers are there, and then Boba Fett's there. This show is called The Book of Boba Fett, but in episode 5, Return of the Mandalorian, Boba Fett was not seen. In this episode 6, he's barely in this episode at all. He's probably in this episode for maybe 2 minutes, and that's it. Doesn't have a speaking role at all. Mando says to Boba and Fennec Shand that he knows someone and he can help them on the ground with muscle. So he goes back to Tatooine to talk to Marshal Cobb Vanth and basically asks Cobb for his help in doing things. But most Pelagos was changed to Freetown because everything is more quiet, so to speak, and everything. Mando's like, I just need a favor. That's all I need. Let's make this happen. So Cobb was like, I'll think about it. And then Mando goes off. And then Cobb tells one of the local villagers there to get all the people around and everything. And out in the distance, someone comes walking out from the desert. It's like, okay, who could this be? As the figure keeps getting closer and closer, and the camera's zooming in, it's bounty hunter Cad Bane from the Clone Wars. Like, holy shit. He was considered one of the best experienced bounty hunters in all of the galaxy. And in this 6th episode, the Book of Boba Fett, they decided to introduce him. The look, the costume, the voice. Crazy, epic, and amazing. So, between Cad Bane and Cobb Vanth, they have like a standoff, a Western standoff. Half of this episode was a Western as well, especially with the scenes with Cobb Vanth in it, which was really well done. The cinematography aspect was fantastic. Now, while that's happening, Cad Bane pulls his pistol, shoots Cobb Vanth, and shoots the deputy that is with Cobb Vanth. Now, we don't know if Cobb Vanth is alive or dead. So then, all of a sudden, Cad Bane says, now that everything's going, and now that I'm here, the Pike Syndicate will rule the spice trade. Now, in Mos Espa, 2 Pike Syndicates walk into the sanctuary. They just sit there, leave, they order a drink, but they leave. All of a sudden, they bombed the sanctuary, and evidently everyone dies. After that, in the next scene, in the forest world, Luke Skywalker gives Grogu Baby Yoda an ultimatum. You either pick this armor that Mando left you, you have to choose, or here is a lightsaber. A lightsaber given, which was Yoda's lightsaber. It's like so many Easter eggs, it's insane. And in a few scenes before in this episode, we found that Luke, wanted to give Grogu a glimpse back at what happened on his planet. So Luke touches his head, and all of a sudden Grogu's taken back to a time where we see during the Clone Wars what's happening, and then they wanted to evidently kidnap Grogu for his certain powers because of his species. Now, once we go back to everything, Grogu has to decide, is it the armor? And Luke Skywalker says, here is the armor. You pick this armor, you're picking your friends, and the way of the Force and the Jedi are no longer with you. Or you pick the lightsaber, and you will become my first student in this temple. So, and then the episode ends. This is one of the craziest, insane episodes that I've ever seen in a Star Wars universe movie. It's probably better than one of the Star Wars movies that were just done 7, 8, or 9. I mean, introducing Cad Bane as one of the associate of the Pike Syndicate, and knowing that he's one of the best bounty hunters in the galaxy is crazy. I mean, are we going to get a standoff between Mando and Cad Bane? How is everything going to play out? These last 2 episodes were insane, and this just grabbed Star Wars fans' attention. Listen, live action Cad Bane, anything's happening, anything's possible, excuse me for that matter. I'm excited because this episode was probably the best episode, and I keep saying it, I've ever seen. Well directed, well written, well shot, great Western feel. Mando, Luke Skywalker, Grogu, Ahsoka, Cobb Vanth, Cad Bane, Boba Fett, Fennec Shand. I mean, the list goes on and on. This was a character-packed driven episode, and it's probably the craziest that I've ever seen, ever. And I'm curious to see what's going to happen in the season finale, which is episode 7. I want more episodes of this show. I mean, I'm curious to see what happens. Who's the leader of the Pike Syndicate? Is it someone else? Is Cad Bane running anything? We never know. Is it Darth Maul? Or is it Kira from Solo, a Star Wars movie played by Emilia Clarke? A lot of things have to be answered, and I'm curious to see what happens. Episode 7 needs to be at least an hour long because you have to get a lot of story and a lot of things happening. I'm speechless. I loved it. I watch the Book of Boba Fett if you haven't seen it, and let me know in the comment section below what you thought about episode 6 of the Book of Boba Fett. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What did you think of it? And what did you think about this star-studded, character-packed episode? Like, what did you like? What didn't you like? Did you like seeing Cad Bane be brought into a live-action world? And Who do you think is the leader of the Pike Syndicate? And what do you think is going to happen with Boba Fett and Mando? Let me know in the comment section below about the questions I just asked. And I'll see you guys in the next review video. And be sure you tune in next week for my episode 7 season finale review of the Book of Boba Fett.